All right, so we're going to get into chapter 3 to start us off this week. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming exam 1. So our first exam is going to be on Thursday, June 11th. That's the Thursday of this week during our on-campus time. So at 9 o'clock, we're going to start the exam. We'll do it in room 141, the room we've been using for our classroom. So we'll meet at 9 a.m. in there. We'll start that and we'll do the test. So similar to what we saw with the participation quiz that will start in the classroom. You're going to have a full 2 hours. Again, you're going to want to bring a scientific calculator. I will have a sum that you can use as well, like we did for the participation quiz, but not a graphing calculator, not a laptop, not a phone, nothing like that. Just doing basically something capable of doing, you're basically multiplication, division, and then scientific notation. There will be a periodic table and useful information provided with the test. I encourage you to take a look in the exam 1 folder for the useful information. It's a couple of pages that will be attached to the back of the test. So these are things that you don't need to memorize, like formulas, metric prefixes, conversion factors, things like that you may be expected to use on the test. But that I won't expect you to memorize. But I do expect you to be able to know you need to look it up. I think that's a big part of kind of knowing how to do science, right? Is knowing that there's reference information that you can look up and knowing when you have to look it up and how to use information that you've retrieved. The test is going to cover lecture modules 1 through 3. This is basically everything we've done so far, including this Monday and Tuesday set of videos. That's that module 3 part. So chapters 1 through 3. There is a review in that exam 1 folder. If you complete that review and you upload your answers, you get 3 bonus points added on to your test grade. So just straight up. Once you submit that, you'll see answers. So if you want to just see the answers, you can submit a blank response if you don't have time or whatever to do it. And when you're submitting that, it can be an image, PDF, whatever it is that you want to do, as long as it's, it's pretty legible. You can also turn it in if you want to submit a blank response and then turn in on paper. That's also fine. For the test itself, it's going to be open, free response, where it's ask you questions and you write out what you did. I'm always going to include some sort of all caps instruction when I'm looking for additional information. That's not just an answer. If I ask, is this a chemical or physical change? You could just say chemical or physical change. You don't have to explain it. When I'm expecting an explanation, I will always explicitly put in, explain how you know, or show your work. Generally, if there's anything numerical, I should always expect to show your work, but I will also explicitly write it. When you are doing anything numerical, units are always going to be required. Units are an important part of any numerical response, and you need to be including units to provide information. So if you're not including the units, you will lose points. At the same time, if you're answering a question and you don't really know how to answer it, you're not getting it right, but you're getting the correct units, that's still worth something. Because you're demonstrating your thought process. You're demonstrating that you understand enough to know what an correct answer would look like. Even if you cannot generate that correct answer, you still know what it should look like, and therefore that is demonstrating something. So it's worth a little bit to know the units. It's also lose a couple points if you don't write those units. You're trying to convey that. It's not just a math class. These numbers represent physical values, and those units convey that physicality, what kind of aspect we're looking at. In terms of preparation, I would encourage you to take a look at the review. Beyond that, I would go to looking at stuff that we've done in the slides, in the videos. I make all the PowerPoint presentations. I record all these. I wrote all this stuff. I'm writing the test, so it's going to be a close, much better approximation or representation of what the test is going to look like. The homework, I choose those homework prompts, so I encourage you to do the Module 3 homework. But it's not necessarily going to be a perfect representation of what we're kind of looking at in the what you might expect to see on the test. So I encourage you to do it as part of your grade. Beyond that, there's useful information as well as vocabulary terms in the exam 1 folder. I encourage you to take a look at those and kind of as a way to make like flashcards of the vocabulary, make sure you're understanding the language of the test and of the material that we're looking at covering. Otherwise, you've taken a number of tests at this point in time. I would be honest with yourself as to what doesn't work for you, and try to be mindful of that. Be mindful of what kind of approach it like a scientist, right? You're doing experiments, you've done things before, you've collected observations. Did these study strategies work? If so, do them again. If not, don't do them again, or try to modify them. How can you change your approach? And if you have any questions about study strategies or any ideas, or you would like to talk about material with me, please don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, welcome to week 2. We got a full week ahead of us, kind of the full standard schedule that we'll see for the remainder of the class, at least weeks 2, 3, and 4. Without further ado, we'll get into the material. If you have any questions about the test, want to talk about, you did the review and now you want to review some of the material, or you have any questions about it, let me know. I'm more than happy to chat about it. We can set up a meeting or something like that, come to office hours, or set up a meeting outside of that via WebEx, whatever it is. Otherwise, I'll see you in the lecture first video for lecture module 3 covering chapter 3. Bye-bye.